So I've done the 10,000 video, the 20,000 video, and I've even done the 50,000 video. But let's be honest, many people don't have those sums of money lying around that they can simply invest into property. And a few of you over on Instagram have asked, what can we do with £1,000? Well, luckily for yourselves, today's video is going to run through exactly that. But just before we get started, we are all required apparently by YouTube's politeness policy to smash the heck out of that like button. So if you could just quickly do that, and I'll roll this intro. What's going on everyone, my name is Aaron aka The Anxious Investor, bringing you another no BS video to help you learn about property without ever having to pay for it, and also to alleviate any anxieties you may have around the investing game. Now, if you have £1,000 to invest in property and you're eager to get started, I've got to be honest from the start and tell you something that isn't sexy, that isn't probably what you actually want to hear. And certainly isn't what the no money down gurus or the people who sell courses and mentorships and free webinars tell you about this game. To start the ball rolling with £1,000 in property, you're very limited. Like very, very, very limited. However, as with anything in life and with many of us, we've all started from zero in many places in our life. And £1,000 is a great place to start. Now, one of the key things I say in this game is you need to look at your resource allocation, i.e. how much time do you have available, what's your current skill set, and how much money do you have. Now, we've addressed that you have £1,000 of money available. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to imagine that's all you have. There's no way of you obtaining any more. Now, of course, I don't know how much time you have, but at some time you are going to need to put in more time throughout this journey. So whether that's weekends or evenings, you need to bring some value or some sweat equity to the marketplace. But there's nothing wrong with that. I've been there. Coming from very, very humble beginnings, there was a point where literally time was all I had. I didn't have much skill set and I definitely didn't have access to much money. I also realized as I began to improve my skill set that if I had more money from the start, I literally could make a lot more money and invest in more property. So I know that's kind of common sense, having more money, being able to invest more, but it only really became more common when I built up my skill set and started to understand this game, which is what I'm trying to help you with on this channel. Now, that brings me on to skill set. It's going to be a lot different if you're an estate agent or your parents have just retired with a lumpy cash pot, or you've just inherited a hell of a lot of money that you would potentially be able to utilize along with your £1,000. But without knowing any of that and where you actually stand in terms of your skill set and your time, we're going to just focus on this video with you only having £1,000 to play around with. Now, you simply can't do most of the strategies. You won't do flips, you won't do buy-to-lets, you won't do commercial conversions, assisted sales are out the window, and you certainly won't be building any houses anytime soon. I'm sorry to say that. However, you can potentially deal source, potentially. You may also potentially be able to do lease options, although even that's very, very tight in finances, and most likely you will also struggle with the rent to rent side. So therefore, deal sourcing is probably the most likely way to use your £1,000. Now, if I'm 100% honest, a fair amount of that £1,000 that you have will be eaten away by just setting yourself up. Now, I want to quickly break down some pros and cons for you before you get started about deal sourcing, just to set expectations. It's hard work. Whatever anyone says is tough, getting used to rejections, investors getting cold feet, tire kickers, agents giving you no time of the day, and the likely chance that you're going to make many mistakes when speaking to vendors and agents. It's also very time consuming as well. Regardless of these people who let you look over their shoulders or join their free webinars tell you, you're not just going to go out there and start making £2,000 to £5,000 a month. The only person that's making that is the person you're buying the course from. And even when you have deals ready to go and they're ready to be sourced on, you won't be actually getting paid to 3, 6 or even 9 months down the road, as most payments are fully settled upon completion. Also, you need to be legally compliant, which costs money, hence what I said earlier on. But the reason I put deal sourcing here is twofold. The first is, I promise you guys that if you're able to find a deal that, let's say, has a minimum 30% ROI after refinancing for a buy, refurbish and refinance deal, or something that has a good flip potential, I will buy it off you. And I will make sure that you are paid for the work and effort that you've put in. And the second reason is that you can potentially co-source with deal sources. Now, this is pretty much what a lot of these training gurus do. And I want to explain some pros and cons about this as well. The cons are your level of customer service won't be the same as theirs. You will also be tied by association to them. So if they are dodgy, it can potentially ruin your reputation down the line. But here are some of the pros as well, because I'm not all against it. You can potentially piggyback off somebody else and start making cash. You can then financially sort yourself out, that if you enjoy deal sourcing enough, you then have the advantage of quitting whatever you're doing and really focusing on it full time. However, if you don't like it, you can simply give it up. Now, one thing I will say about deal sourcing is that if you do it ethically and with the right mind frame, you can definitely learn a hell of a lot about property. You'll get good at comparing and analysing deals, understanding areas, rents, renovation costs, and perhaps if you're more advanced into projects, you will learn more of the more complex strategies that many investors use. And to add to that, you'll also get used to speaking with agents and vendors and even investors like myself. So it definitely has a fair amount of pros as well. So hopefully that gives you something to think about. Now, another question I got asked on Instagram was, what would I do if I only had £1,000 and I started from scratch? I would work on creating more income streams, and I've got many videos on this channel. I will be creating more and improving the one that you currently have to allow you to save more money, to give yourself more opportunities and be able to do more strategies. I would also utilize ISAs, invest in index funds like the S&P 500 for example, just so your money isn't depreciating in the bank. I would then be patient and not get influenced by people who sell courses and tell you that you can do it with little to no money. Only they're getting paid for that. I would then educate yourself on channels like this and try and get as much information and learn as much about property strategies as you possibly can. And I promise you can do it for free. I would then double down my understanding of those strategies and try and connect with people doing them. People love to talk about themselves, so view their projects when they're doing them, ask as many questions as you possibly can, and learn as much theory from them and the mistakes that they've done as possible. I would then tell all my friends and family about the goals that you have of investing in property. I'll explain why in a second, but just before that, I would then move over onto socials and start telling the world about what you want to do, letting people know that you have a vision to become a property investor, you're hungry, you're enthusiastic, you're now viewing properties, and then start documenting your journey. And even if that means just saying, I've just visited this house, it's on for this much, what do you guys think? Promote conversation in threads, in Facebook forums, and on LinkedIn. Start to get noticed as the person who's enthusiastic about investing in property, regardless of even if you only have £1,000. You want to show people that you're taking this game seriously, that you are willing to put your time in. And when you can get your personality across, as I say in many of my videos, people will get to know, like, and trust you. And as your money starts increasing via the savings on the side and your knowledge of understanding deals and negotiating and speaking with people, you're going to start to put yourself in a position where people around you are now seeing you as the property go-to person. And when you start building that credibility up, they're going to take you a lot more serious. And then you may even be able to raise other people's money. And to the point of that the day you post about finding a flip that could make £40,000, for example, you may well see people's ears perk up thinking, well, actually, this person's pretty active. So please be as present as possible. Boost the amount of time you spend, not just learning, but also executing on your skill set. And then slowly, even if it's 5 to 8% by growing your money in index funds on the side and creating side hustles, you can turn that 1,000 into 2,000 into 5,000 and start growing your money whilst also growing your network. And I promise you, if you are consistent, you will not be watching videos like this, but instead actively investing and hopefully watching the 20, the 50, or maybe even the 100K videos as well, whilst also being able to utilize other people's money. So with that, my friends, my voice is running out. I truly hope this video helped. I know it was one that many of you were asking me on Instagram, so please don't hesitate to drop any questions down below. And as always, people, I'm gonna roll some bloopers, and thank you once again for watching. You're simply, pretend you would get good at